Welcome back to another edition of the ARCA Zoomcast. Hello, and of course, welcoming in ARCA PR Director Charlie Kroll. We're back. This is kind of the period where the main series isn't racing a ton, and obviously that's going to change once we get later in the year, because when we're going to be basically racing every single week between all three divisions. But this is quite the of course, we got Phoenix this week, and then of course in a few weeks we got the East series kicking off.
Yeah, right now we are in the catch your breath while you can mode, because in about 6 weeks we're going to hit the ground running, and we're not going to be able to take a breath until probably November. So there's still a lot to do here, Casey. We've got a ton of really cool things happening behind the scenes, and we're working pretty hard at it right now. But yeah, we've got our second race of the season for the ARCA Menards series coming up this weekend. It's also the season opener for the ARCA Menards West. Should have a pretty solid car count on hand. Maybe not quite as big as we were once hoping, but I think we'll still be in that mid 30s range, which I think would be really, really cool. And that racetrack just puts on a really good show with this type of race car. So I think we're going to have a great week coming up. Yeah, and after what we saw there in Daytona, I just anything can happen, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we all had this kind of preconceived notion of what the storylines were going to be, and I think we just threw all those out the window there in Daytona. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen out here in Phoenix.
Yeah, a lot of guys are going to be making. Also, this is where you're going to see a lot of the cars make their big debuts. Where you see a lot of the guys that you're going to be seeing in ARCA, as well as with ARCA West, and also in East as well. Because of course, we got Sean and Tyler. Both the Reich brothers are going to be in there, and then we got William Sawalich as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how William's going to do. In particular, I saw a bunch of him down there at New Smyrna Speedway with the World Series, and he did really well. He won the final night down there, and it's a much anticipated debut. He's going to be with the team that has won the last couple of owners championships. So he's going to have a really good race car. He should be pretty competitive right out of the box. What some of those West teams, how's Tanner Reif going to do in the 16 car? The 16 really didn't perform the way that we expect it to last year. How are they going to do right out of the box? How is Tyler Reif going to do? That the Chris Loudon organization. Chris is a really interesting character. He really is a really fun guy to be around, and he's got a lot of really interesting things going on in his world. And he's hired a couple of really young and talented race car drivers. So how are they going to do? I'm going to be interested to see how Landon Lewis does back with the Bruce Cook, Steve McGowan organization. He did really well with them last year before transitioning into the Napa car. So, I'd like to see him, back up front and running well. And then you've got the Jesse Loves. Jesse is a guy who has got a lot of experience out west. He's got some wins in the ARCA Menard series, and now I think we start his real, we always say that the real season, starts at the first non-restrictor plate race.
Yeah.
All right, so now the real season's going to start for Jesse and that 20 team. And how are they going to do? I think they're going to be pretty darn stout, to be honest. And of course, you can't really leave out our Daytona winner, Greg Van Alst. He's going to be coming with a lot of momentum on his side, and he's got to do a lot of really cool things here the past couple of weeks. So we'll see how Greg's able to do out there.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Andres Perez de Lara, of course, he'll be in the two, I believe, the rest of the season. Of course, he's 18 years old, so of course we'll be seeing them. I believe 2 Rev cars this week, if I read the ARCA website correctly. So
yeah, that's the plan. Yep.
Okay, so also it's also a big week for Frankie Muniz as well. Of course, he is from the Phoenix area, and this will be fun to race in front of a lot of his friends and family who are in that area.
Yeah, he lives in Scottsdale, so that's right there in the Phoenix metro area. I think Frankie's already got a lot of pressure on him. I think some of that self-induced pressure. Um, for Frankie, I'm hoping he just comes out, uh, has a lot of fun this weekend, and doesn't let all of these distractions get to him. I think he can have a really good, solid run. Mark Rett builds good race cars. He's going to have all the tools, to get it done. Frankie, he is at that stage where he needs laps. He needs to go out and make as many laps as he can in practice. He needs to go out and make every lap in the race. And if he can do that, I think he'll have a real good, solid finish. I think we'll see. Will he be a contender to win? Maybe. Stranger things have happened, to be honest. I think we'll know if he's going to be a contender to win, pretty early on. But I think, again, the key to it is just going to be right now. He needs to get laps. He needs to get experience on this style of race track with this style of race car. And remember, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's 37, 38 years old, who is, by all admissions, a rookie to this. He knows he's got a lot to learn. He needs to learn the style of race car and then this type of racetrack. And I think he's got a pretty good frame of mind. And I really do. I look forward to seeing how he can do. And I think we'll see him, if he does everything he's supposed to do, which, is always a tall, you got to have 35 other drivers cooperate with you on that.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see him have a shot to pick up his first top 10 of the season this weekend.
Yeah. So let's this is the first weekend for the ARCA Menard Series West. Kind of preview like what to expect from that series, because of course, you're outside of this race, you're going to be calling a majority, basically all of the West races.
All the rest of them
on Flow Racing, which of course I believe it's also where this race will also be streamed at as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I think we will have a very fun West season this year. We've got a lot of cars that have committed to basically the whole season. I think a couple of those cars may have a hard time getting to Phoenix, just for some issues out of their control. But I think we're going to have 18 to 20 cars who have committed to the full season. And though, of course, we'll always hope to pick up a couple of more each and every week that are some of those part-timers. I think we're going to have another really competitive fight for that championship. I don't know that I can place anyone as a favorite just yet out West. I think maybe after we get through this week and see who runs well, out there in this combination race, we'll have a little bit better idea. But I think it's a toss-up. I think you could say it could be one of these young kids, like a Tanner Reif. He's got the Bill McAnally backing. That's a really good, solid race team, and he's got good good sponsorship behind him. He won a couple of races last year. But how could you count out somebody like a Todd Souza? Todd's had a really good string of seasons here the last couple of years, and he just always has had that one week where like nothing went right. and he gave up a bunch of ground in the point standings. I think if Todd can prevent that from happening, I think he's got a shot at walking away with a championship this year too. I mean, he's, I'm on that old age and treachery side. I want to see these guys with some experience take it to these kids.
Yeah.
But boy, I'll tell you what, these youngsters, man, they are so talented, and they come. Even a 15-year-old these days comes in with 7 or 8 years of really good racing experience and simulator time and whatnot. So these kids are going to be really tough to beat, Casey.
They are, and of course, a couple of them are also going to be running for the West Championship as well as the East Championship as well. Of course, you got Sean Hingrani and I think Tyler Reif is running both series as well.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they do. It's not like it's a really taxing schedule. I think the total will be 12 races out West and 8 races on the East side of things, and it's 20 races, which isn't, it isn't terribly taxing. There is a couple of trips back and forth across the country there. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun to see how they do. I think Sean has a little bit more experience in the seat of these types of race cars. So, you might give him the slightest little bit of leg up there on Tyler, but I think both are really talented young guys, and I think both will do pretty well.
Yeah. Also, it was announced last week that there will be a new ARCA East team as well. Of course, the Pinnacle Racing team. Kind of explain a little bit about that, because a lot of people really kind of don't know about that.
So everyone remembers the Gray Ghost, back in the early 1980s there at Daytona. Buddy Baker won the Daytona 500 driving the Gray Ghost for Harry Ranier, and then of course Cale Yarborough won a couple of Daytona 500s in that 28 car as well. Harry's he was a long time team owner, and actually owned race cars in the ARCA Menard series back in the 60s too. So that family has been around a long time. Harry's son Lauren Ranier, longtime spotter, longtime driver development specialist, has been involved in this Pinnacle Racing group, and now they brought on board Shane Huffman, who was the championship winning crew chief with Brett Holmes back a couple of years ago. So they've got some pretty good people in place over there, and of course they've hired Luke Fenhouse to come on board and drive that race car, and they're going to chase after the East Series full time here in 2023. And they've got some late model programs in place as well, and I believe Shane's son Landon Huffman, one of the two Landon Huffmans now, is scheduled to run full time. They're both running at the same racetrack too. How about that? So it'll be fun to watch. And I've heard about Landon for years. Shane has been a very proud dad, talking about his boy, and all the go-kart races that they've won together over the years. So I'm really anxious to see how he does, just on a personal basis. You hear about these kids for years and years and years, but they're going to be a great addition to have to the East Series, and another good quality team. And I think you gotta, just knowing what their background is, you have to put them as maybe a prohibitive championship favorite, going into the start of the season. So just a couple of weeks away, and we'll be racing down there at Five Flags.
And of course, you're going to be on the call for the first 4 East standalone East races.
That's the plan.
That should be fun. I can't wait to go to Flat Rock in a few months too. That'll be exciting.
That's right. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it should be. Of course, also, how good was it to have AM Racing and Christian Rose in there? How do you that team is going full time as well?
So Christian's a real good guy. I've really enjoyed my time with him here the past couple of months. Going back to last October, he came all the way up here to Toledo. A race he was originally supposed to race in, and then kind of got squeezed out of his ride at the last moment. He still came up and did all of the PR stuff leading up to that one, and has been working on getting the sponsorship program put together all winter long, and it finally came together for him. And he had a pretty good run there at Daytona. I really liked what his plan was. Is let's we got sent to the back early, so let's just kind of stay out of trouble and run all the laps, and then when we get to the final couple of laps, let's put the charge on and see where we end up. And just about knocked off a top 10 finish down there in Daytona. And I think having the guidance of Kevin Sawinski and that team, I think he's going to have a pretty good solid season. So we'll keep a close eye on that 32 car the rest of the season. And I know he just had a nice addition to his family here before the race down there in Daytona. So it's going to be a busy year for Christian.
Absolutely. All right. Well, of course, this race will also be on FS2. Yes, of course. FS2 at 8 p.m. Eastern. There's going to be some, I believe, some conference basketball tournaments going on.
What? I can't believe basketball this time of year. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, of course, well, obviously programming and stuff. And of course, this is, of course, because this is, of course, having all 20 races on there. And I think the broadcast did a pretty good job of telling all the stories of a lot of the drivers, as well as
and obviously I'm kidding. I know we're leading into the final run to March Madness here. So we're still just absolutely thrilled to be on the Fox Sports family of networks, FS1, FS2, Jamie Little and Phil Parsons, and just they did a really nice job for us down there at Daytona. And I am a huge fan of Heather DeBow. Heather and I have worked together, in the East and West Series races here the last couple of years, and just to have Heather finally get a shot to come and work, national television. I can't think of someone who deserves it any more than she does. She is just a super hard worker, super great person, and I was thrilled for her to get that opportunity. And I look forward to seeing what she's going to have, in store for her here in 2023. But yeah, should be a good one. FS2 this weekend, because of those pesky basketball tournaments. I got to tell you, Casey, I've seen more college basketball games this year than I have seen in the last probably the last 20 years in person, and I've had a pretty good time. I've had a good time following those Toledo Rockets, both the men and the women. But I got to tell you, I'm still a fan of the band. More than
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very, very biased on that.
Yeah, I would say
on that
so.
side of things. But,
So,
yeah, but no, it's been a lot of fun, and we'll see how the Rockets do in the MAC tournament here coming up. But I think this might be the year they get that they get that elusive invite to the NCAA tournament. We'll see.
It'll be fun. I'm always good to see what Todd Kowalczyk can do down there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week of Torst. Tune in 8 p.m. on FS2. That is where the ARCA race will be, and we'll see you in a few weeks to preview Five Flags.
You got it, buddy. We'll talk to you then.